Good evening, everyone. Happy Women's History Month. It's officially Monday on March the 8th. I'm here, and I just wanted to thank you all for tuning in or watching it later. I'm going to talk a little bit slow. My voice is a little raspy. Been under the weather a couple of days, but it is what it is. So I'm here, as promised, to talk about 821. Legalize marijuana. It's legal. Finally, everyone. So yay. Clap, clap, clap. Sorry about that. I need to turn it off. Anyway, it's legal here in New Jersey. Finally, Governor Murphy signed S21 and A21 into law, making recreational use of marijuana legal. But don't go running out in the streets yet. You can't go and buy it yet from any legal entity because they haven't even issued licenses yet. This is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be funny, but all I'm saying is when Governor Murphy, 4 years ago almost, jumped out and I'm going to run for governor, I'm going to legalize marijuana, what he did was he said, I'm going to legalize marijuana. He could not get the Senate and the Assembly on the same accord, and some of the people did not want to memorialize their agreement or disagreement with recreational marijuana by putting it up for a vote at the legislature. So we all know the fancy referendum that went on the ballot and was voted 61% by the state of New Jersey, yes, to make it legal. There was nothing in place. So now the fun begins that we have to get the Cannabis Commission, which was finally appointed. The last member was recently appointed last week. We have to get them to get rolling. And we have to get them to start having those meetings, which they are mandated to do by the statute. The meetings have to be public hearings. We all have to get the information. So contact your local representative and make sure that they are advertising this and not the day before. So they need to advertise it so that the Cannabis Regulatory Commission will be giving them the information, answering the questions to the people. There's a lot of folks out here interested in getting into the business, right, for the recreational marijuana, and rightfully so, because this should not be, and I'm still going to quote Harris from when he was on the show, it shouldn't be a Caucasian cannabis community. This should be affordable enough for, your average Joe business person. I just recently learned that from the original proposal where the micro businesses, which is like under 25 people, there was under 10 people, there was a 25%, requirement. They've lowered that. So where we thought that micro businesses would have that opportunity, to get into the business, they have reduced the number of micros that they are requiring. Anyway, the state has no idea what's happening, and I'm going to tell you who these commissioners are. And the commissioners are Diana, I cannot pronounce her last name. It's Haunu, that's how I'm going to say it. And she's the chairperson. You have Krista Nash, she was appointed by the Senate president. Sam Delgado was appointed by the Speaker of the Assembly. Maria Del Cid, William Wallace, and they have an executive director, Mr. Jeffrey Brown. We should be able to contact them. I'm going to do my own research and get their contact information, and I'm actually going to invite one or all, whoever is available, for next week's conversation, because we want to do a deeper dive into what the rules and regulations, what the fees and stuff are going to look like. Because right now for medical marijuana, just the application for a dispensary is $20,000. Yeah, $20,000 for the application. And I mean, I get it, you have to make an investment, but everybody doesn't want a dispensary. So this is going to be quite different with the recreational, because there are 6 different classes of licenses. And I think I have them broken out right here just so I can talk about them. So you have class 1, which is a grower license. Class 2 is a processor. Oh, forgive me. Class 3 is a wholesaler. Class 4, what is class 4? I can't read it over here. I gotta look on my notes over here. You have class 6, which is delivery. Class 4 is a retailer. Class 5, I'm sorry, is a retailer. And class 6 is a class 4 is a cannabis distributor. Class 5 is a retailer. Class 6 is a delivery. So should they have to pay $20,000, for example, just to be a delivery service? And I'll say this, as we speak, now they're preparing to allow the dispensaries, the medical dispensaries, to do delivery. It makes sense. It's convenient, but why should the people who already are capitalizing, if you will, be the only ones able to provide that service to the people who are approved to receive it? So when you have now the recreational, let us allow for delivery services, by delivery companies who have been issued licenses and have got, the proper insurance, because in the bill they make sure that they tell you what's required. You have to have a certain type of vehicle, lock boxes, a certain amount of insurance. But we also have to consider what these municipalities are going to do. And I'll commend the city of Newark. Newark has a beautiful map. It's color coded. They know where it's zoned for what type of license. So when you have the cannabis retailer license, they're going to be zoned in certain areas based on the statutes and based on what their municipal government has approved. Now, just speaking for me in the city of Linden, our city council hasn't even spoken on it. I mentioned it. It's a shame, but we had previously banned any cannabis facilities for recreational use, and that is the construction code ordinance. So now we are faced with the question, are we going to allow them in my city? I'm going to say, why not? Why should we miss an opportunity to get the municipal tax, especially when there's a lot of, in my opinion, wasteful spending that goes on where this money could be earmarked, for educational programs through our city recreation department. We can do educational programs through our health department. And we can also partner with our Board of Education to take some of this cannabis tax, if you will, that we can use no more than 2%. You can partner with the Board of Education and do some things. Of course, you do want to do education as far as drugs and alcohol, but you also can use this money. It's a benefit. So I'm just going to put it out there. Hopefully the city of Linden, the majority of our council, will see its way to figuring it out in the benefit of our community and the taxpayers. So I want to touch on a couple of things. So the licenses, right? Class 1 is a grower, class 2 is a processor, class 3 is a wholesaler, class 4 is a distributor, class 5 is a retailer, class 6 is a delivery service, a license. In here, you also have to have, and this is what the commission needs to address, not what the applications are going to be, what the qualifications are going to be. They also have in here that there's supposed to be some sort of a cannabis handler certification. Okay, so who's going to certify them? What is it going to cost? And what does that certification allow? And here in the bill, it said the person can be up to at least age 18, which means, similar to someone who works in a brewery, you can be 18 to work there, but you still cannot consume the products that, you produce. So anyway, we talked about the licenses, and right now, again, a dispensary license is $20,000. And that doesn't speak to having to get an architect to draw out what the layout's going to be and all that stuff. Like, hey, there's a space for that. But there should also be a space for folks who want to, get into this industry and not, lose their shirt or have to beg, borrow, and steal I just want to really quickly mention the alternative treatment centers. They are giving them the opportunity to do medical and recreational, and some of them will be able to have consumption areas. So is that what I said before, where the people who currently are already in the business will get the upper hand to continue to grow their business? Yep, that's what it is. So all these alternative treatment centers are there. They're not even issuing any new licenses for alternative treatment centers. So let's see how this all works. And I'm looking forward to these commission hearings because I'm going to try and get there, and you should too. Because there's a lot. I'm on Facebook sometimes, and I'm hearing people. And one woman on my friend's page, she made a comment about, medical marijuana. You all need to get ready, get into the business. But slow down, Susie. There's not even an application for you to apply for. Just want to clarify. I asked her what was her source, and she told me to go to the internet. Yeah, she doesn't really know me because I've been following this bill, since almost the beginning. I've read all of the pages. So I'll tell you, in all honesty, there is no application available. We do not know how much it's going to cost. But here's an opportunity for you to provide that feedback to your legislature. And I'll tell you what, and I'll say it, I'm going to keep saying it. This year, all of the state legislators are up. All of the state legislators are up. The Democrats, have supported in one way or another S-21 or the decriminalization bill, which recently passed, which is 1897. And that passed. So the Assembly Bill 1897 passed, which was what people were calling the cleanup bill, after it was tweaked again to meet the governor's needs. Just so you know, the governor was not pleased that there was no penalty for underage possession originally. My issue was there was no penalty for anybody who possessed alcohol who was underage. So now what? They included the alcohol component with the marijuana component for possession and consumption. And they have given, some penalty, as they should, if someone is under the influence. But I don't know. It's just a catch-22. So now this bill, the way it was passed, says that any minor for their first offense in possession, their parents will not have to be notified. You can agree or you can disagree. My position is, if my minor is under 18, I want you to tell me. If my person who is possessing it is under 18, is 18 or older, they're grown-ups, and you don't need to tell me. So, but that's what it is, and we can talk more about that also next week, because I have invited Assemblyman Holly to come on. He is one of the sponsors of Assembly Bill 1897, and he'll tell you the truth from what I can understand. That watching him, following him since he was a councilman in Roselle, he basically gives it to you kind of straight for the most part, unlike a lot of the folks in state offices, So I kind of trust what he will tell us. He's not able to come tonight, so I kind of said, okay, well, maybe next week. I gave his secretary a call, left all the information. Hopefully he'll be here. I also invited our senator from District 22, who was the primary sponsor of A21, Nick Scutari. And it's supposed to be on his calendar, so we hope that you will join us next week. And we love Harris, but we want to hear from you live. The people want to hear from you, because guess what? They're not voting for Harris in June. They're voting for you or not. Just saying. Okay. So let's go back to what we know. In the bill, A21, which the governor finally passed, when we talk about the cannabis marketplace and everybody's going to have their time or their opportunity to get in, I want you to know that the commission has the ability and is authorized to prioritize applications on the basis of where it is going to be located, the impact zone, right? And they also will go based on, this is on page 82 and 83. The applicant who presents the plan, they have to attest to employ 25% of the employees who reside in that impact zone. This is a good thing, but let's just see how that works, or how they're going to enforce that. So the ranking in the application with respect to the Impact Zone Commission, they're going to give priority to the following. Listen up, people. Priority ranking: an applicant for cannabis establishment, distributor, or delivery service that is located or is intended to be located within an impact zone, and that impact zone has less than 2 licensees, so that there will be a prioritized distribution of licenses to at least 2 licensees within each impact zone. Okay. So then it also prioritizes that the applicant who's a current resident of the impact zone, an applicant who presents a plan, I just said that part about the 25 employees. So that's how they're going to prioritize it. They also have, let me see what else. Some of the priorities. All right. Sorry, I wasn't ready. So each license application, it's going to be scored and reviewed based on the points. I saw that in here too. The commission is going to determine the amount of points and categorize them. And the system of points distribution by regulation, they are going to assign the points this way. So the point system does fall in line with what has been in other states. Your application will be graded on a point system that will take into account your expertise. Just going to leave it there for a second. Your credentials of your team. And then they have another few items and topics. So some of the topics that you're graded on will be the environmental impact of your business, the safety and security procedures that you are planning, cybersecurity, emergency management, sanitation, diversion prevention. So, and that's a good thing. Proof of financial competence to carry out the plan. So that's some of the things that the applications are going to be graded on. We also talked about, this is on page 83 of the original, the final version of A21. The commission is going to ensure that at least 10% of the total licenses issued for class cannabis establishment or cannabis distributors or cannabis delivery are designated for and only issued to micro businesses. That's 25%. That has been changed now to 10%. The total licenses issued for micro businesses, right? All right, so we'll see how that goes. A licensee designated and issued to a micro business shall be valid for 1 year. The micro businesses has to meet the following requirements. 100% ownership interest in a micro business shall be held by current New Jersey residents, right? Or somebody who's been here for at least 2 years. Let me tell you something. Trust and believe that there are people who have moved themselves to New Jersey, at least on paper, because they were planning and preparing for this. Don't get it mixed up. This has been in the works for a long time. So probably at least 5 years or more. And some of your legislators are going to use these as selling points to get you to vote for them. But I don't know. What you want me to vote for you because you voted for this, but you made the residents put it on through the referendum, and it's not ready. Let me tell you something. This is not going to be ready until at least September at the earliest. So again, don't go out here trying to puff and pass, because whatever you have, you're getting it illegally. Based on this, you are going to be required by law to purchase it from one of the licensed establishments. And the licenses haven't even been printed. The applications aren't prepared. We don't know what they cost. We don't know where they're going to be. We know that some are going to be in Newark for sure, because Newark has it ready. They are ready. Yep. Anyway, so your legislators got you voting for this. Micro businesses have no more than 10 employees. So, like I said, they have to be in Jersey. Do you want a cannabis business? Do you want to participate in the business? Do you want to be part of this conversation next week? Listen, I have invited them. I'm going to, send another reminder invitation to Senator Scutari, and also to Assemblyman Holly. I will also look at those in the Republican Party, because guess what? We want to hear from everyone. All the New Jersey seats are up for election. Let's see if these people are really voting in your best interest or not. And let them talk openly and honestly about their positions and how they can help with these, because there's supposed to be a provision. There is a provision in here that says that there's going to be, you can't get grant money, right? But there's supposed to be programs that help to encourage women, disabled veterans, and minorities, to encourage them to get into this business. I got my hand raised. I want to get into the business, right? Let us all know about these programs. And so I don't want that to be like they're just setting money aside and they're just going to give you like a pamphlet or a booklet. We want details. We want all the information. We want to know upfront how much it costs, no hidden fees and all like that, and don't make it so hard that, a small micro business really cannot get into this business without, having to get investors. And if it's a small business, it's a micro business, it's 10 people or less. Like, come on, let New Jersey residents live. Let them eat. The people who are out here now, some of them have businesses in different states. They've come to New Jersey because, of their expertise. And so that makes them higher ranked when it comes time for the applications to be scored. Go figure. All right, whatever. I'm not trying to kick anybody down or anything like that. The minority community, let's go. Come together. Support one another. Join together. Get those coalitions. Get yourselves licenses. Get yourselves businesses. It's time that, we pull ourselves up by our boot. This is a prime opportunity. The old saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Corona did us all in 21. And right now we're in the third month of this year, and it's still rough for a lot of people. Lots of businesses shuttered. There's an opportunity, hopefully, that new businesses can come about. And don't make the application so expensive. Why are you making them so expensive? I am still gonna say it. I was not gonna say this. There is a liquor store in the minority community. You can find a liquor store, probably 4 in a 1 mile radius. You know how much the liquor licenses are? You know how difficult it is to get a liquor license? Do you know what happens with some of these stores? They are, well, many of them, are organizations or groups of folks who pool their money to establish those LLCs or whatever their companies are being called. And they're opening liquor stores. Some of them 4 in a 1 mile radius. Not owned by the same, not very similar to like the nail salons though, but again, just we need to make sure it's zoned properly. We need to make sure that at least for me, in my city where I'm elected, that we don't miss an opportunity to get the 2% business tax that we're allowed to get, so that we can fund programs and get things done, because we have programs that we don't fund. We also have unfunded mandates because we keep hearing that we don't have the police, the fire, or the personnel, the people to do it, but we have these laws on the books, but nobody's enforcing them. So, put that money out there and make it go to good use at the end of the day. If you want to be a part of the conversation, send me an email. And we'll have a conversation about what your position is, what you can bring to the conversation, right? So because next week I'm trying to have the folks here who wrote these laws and voted for it. We're going to have them here if they are so inclined. They can come and talk to you, and you can ask them those questions, right? So next week, Thursday, 7 o'clock, March 11th, we're going to be here live. But before I go, I wanted to just leave you with, this is Assembly Bill 1897, and it was passed, and it was signed by the governor, and it decriminalizes 10 grams or less of marijuana and personal use amounts of regulated marijuana-infused products. And it requires substance abuse treatment in some situations, right? So you can get your 10 grams of marijuana. You just can't buy it in Jersey. Nope, not yet. They're looking at the fall before it's actually done. And again, my concern is that the folks who have already been in this business are going to, continue to capitalize on this business because of their expertise, right? Subscribe to the channel so you know when we're live and we're talking about what interests you. And this is real talks. I mean, Black folks who've been selling marijuana for years and generations, they should have an opportunity, okay, to do this legally. That's all I have. Thank you for joining me. Bye.